There is a serious problem in Nigeria. Inequality in currency circulation created the problem of money scarcity and insider currency trading, which means people now buy their own currency with their own currency before spending their own money saved in their own bank account in their own country. If they cannot access their own money saved in their own bank account in their own currency without first paying for it with their own money just because they are poor, why then should they spend their own currency or save their money in their own currency with the bank in their own country in the first place, since the banks now serve only the rich when there is no alternative provided? To make matters worse, their own currency does not ever add as little as 0.07 cents of value when bought and sold over the counter in their own country. And this problem means that they can remain poor so long as they continue to buy and spend their own currency in their own country as the class of the poor, whereas the rich remain richer as they have the capacity to stack enough amount of the same currency by accessing them in bulks from the banks and hoarding them to create artificial scarcity and selling them to the poor at exorbitant rates at POS terminals, especially in rural areas where the POS charges in the absence of banks and fees paid to buy the same currency in the same country is 0.5 times higher than buying the same currency in the urban areas. The government sadly has not said anything about how effectively it could deal with this problem it had created by redesigning the currency. However, there is a solution known as JGC, and there is a familiar story around this solution. Thanks for paying attention to me. I am a JGC outreach preacher, and I come to you with a message titled The Evil of Inequality. Here is the story around this solution known as JGC. Once upon a time, God created one man and one woman to form one humanity that will live in equality in His presence and enjoy the goodness of His generosity and benevolence for all eternity in absolute tranquility and perfection. For God has one image, and God's image is symbolized by the number 1, which represents equality. Since in God there are 3 persons who are all equal, and these equal persons make one God, so also did God create man in this image of equality, such that in man there are 2 persons, man and woman. There are 2 sexes, male and female. And these 2 persons and 2 sexes have one nature, and that is the nature of humanity, so that one humanity will remain equal before God, as God is one, and all 3 persons in God, the Father, Son, and Spirit, are equal and have one nature, which is the nature of God. With God, 1 plus 1 equals to 1, and it doesn't just equals to 1, but 1 is the symbol of equality itself. God made man equal by making 1 man and 1 woman, 1 male and 1 female. He made them, and they were equal before Him. If God didn't care about equality, then He would have made 2 men, 1 woman, or 2 women, 1 man, as the case may be. But God made 1 man, and one woman, and that means 1 plus 1 equals to 1 humanity, and 1 is a symbol of equality. So 1 humanity represents equality, which is the image in which God has made man. So when God made man, he made man equal with woman, and they were equal before him. Every day, this one humanity created by God lived in the presence of God where there was no inequality, for they enjoyed all the benefits and provisions of God's gracious presence in abundance equally. They were essentially and substantially equal, such that there was no social classification among them. There was no inferior and no superior between them. They were truly equal, and so there was no suffering and no distinction between one as rich and the other as poor. God gave them equal opportunities to enjoy his benevolence in the Garden of Eden, because God cared about equality. One day, Satan tempted the people to become greedy for power, greedy for wisdom, and they lusted for their own selfish gains at the expense of the equal opportunities they were enjoying from God's providence. Because of that temptation, they disobeyed the one simple commandment of God and sinned against the one God who provided everything they had ever needed in the paradise, until that moment of selfishness when the lust for independence and greed for power, knowledge, and wisdom caused them to sin against God. Because of that sin that they did not show any remorse for, God banished them from the paradise of equality and caused them to till the soil under hard labor like prisoners before they could eat. And this cause meant that they could no longer enjoy the equal opportunities provided by God in the paradise. If anyone among them would enjoy anything, that would be something they would have to work out for themselves. And this means the beginning of inequality, the starting of oppression, and the birth of suffering on earth, as those who couldn't work, who were weak, sick, and feeble due to age, would have to depend on those who were strong, who could work, and who were healthy and agile or young. So much that poverty crept in when the strong used their strength to oppress the weak. And very sadly, inequality became the order of the day, when feeble women and old people who couldn't work would have to depend on the strong men and young agile people who could do hard work. And this inequality created an imbalance, and evil spread all over the world wherever wicked men oppressed others on earth, until finally God sent a Savior to reconcile mankind back to him. But they killed him because of envy, and since he is God, he did not remain dead. He rose again from the dead on the third day. And on the 40th day after his resurrection, he ascended into heaven and promised to come again in glory and power to judge the living and the dead, and to restore equality in his kingdom that will have no end. Now, 2000 years have gone by, and the time for Jesus to come again has finally reached, at a time when inequality has reached its zenith. As poor countries remain poorer and rich countries remain richer, all countries use different currencies that measure how rich or poor the economy of the countries are, and shows the sad reality of inequality in all countries of the world. For example, one unit of a currency in one country is 700 times higher than the same 1 unit of a currency in another country, meaning that in a country like Nigeria and a country like the United States of America, people who spend Naira are 700 times poorer than people who spend US dollars, because 1 unit of US dollars as the currency of the United States of America is 700 times higher than 1 unit of Nigerian Naira as the currency of Nigeria. This type of inequality is the height of evil, because in the beginning, God created one humanity, and there was no gap between one person's wealth and another's, because all people enjoyed the same equal opportunities in the economy of God's Garden of Eden, where the only currency was love in equality. Bringing the solution forward, JGC is here to replicate what God meant for the world when He made them enjoy His equal opportunities in the Garden of Eden. So now, tap into the power of equality of all currencies with the new universal value system for JGC credits. 1 unit of JGC credit is equal to $1 fixed forever. When recharging or charging JGC credits, every currency is equated to the US dollars only for JGC holders. So, if you are a Nigerian, there is only one way to make 1 Naira become equal to 1 US dollars, and that is by recharging your JGC credit balance. When you recharge 1,000 Naira, you get 1,000 units of JGC credit. When you spend 1 unit of JGC credit, you are spending exactly 1 US dollars. What 1 Naira cannot buy, 1 JGC credit unit can buy. The value of your JGC credit unit doesn't fluctuate like other currencies. You can't trade it for less or more. It is universally equal to 1 US dollars wherever you travel to spend it. It is very advantageous for people in low-income economies and poor countries to get more JGC credits with this and their local currencies in order to become equal with people in high-income economies and wealthy countries. Only JGC does this. JGC uses the same standard of universal equality of all countries. Register to become a JGC account holder in order to have your own JGC credit balance recharged as soon as possible to save you from the mayhem caused by inequality of currencies all over the world, especially those suffering in Nigeria due to the scarcity of money. Never before seen, but now at its peak. And this could happen again even if there is any change after the general elections. However, until then, there is reason to take action. To beware, to be forewarned is to be forearmed. This has been a sample of what could happen in the ultimate control, and JGC offers lasting solution to the problem of inequality. Register now to get your JGC account set up right away.